So, for this episode of Xavier's Unplugged, we have three great alumni, and I don't want to be the one introducing this time. So, you guys, one by one, please give us a short introduction about you.
Is that because you didn't research or like? All right, just great alumni is big praise. I don't think we're there yet, but speaking for myself, I don't think they'll speak for themselves. My name is Ananya, and I'm part of their batch. So we all started in 2012 and passed out in 2015. PMS Xavier's. Then actually him and I continued on. We did MPP from
16 to
2016
18.
to 18. Um, and then finally, we both passed out in 2018. From there on, I did a campus placement session where I was picked up by a Thailand-based conglomerate called CP Group, which was a management training program. I did 1 year in Bangkok, and then I came back to India. I did my marketing stint with that same company in Delhi. And then after that, shortly, I think after 2 years of me being there, COVID hit and I wanted to change. So I moved to Australia where I did my Masters of Management um, Marketing specialization degree in at the University of Melbourne. Now, currently, I'm in a role which is brand sponsorships. I work for a company called Pepperstone, which is a fintech based in Melbourne, Australia. We operate in over 160 countries and we have more offices in more than 16 locations, Melbourne being the headquarters. And the most fun part of my job, like as a brand sponsorship manager, is that I manage our sponsorship with Aston Martin Formula One team. And we also have other athletes under our kitty, which is Alex de Minaur, who's Australia's number one ranked tennis star. So yeah, it's a fun stream of work that I do. And yeah, it's great fun. We can obviously chat more once we go deeper in the conversation. So
Hi everyone, so I'm Sparsh, and so we had the same trajectory till 2018.
yeah,
And my background has always been in finance. So in 2018, I set up my own firm called Otium Financial Services, which is a mutual fund distribution firm, which is based out of Fort in Mumbai. And so I have been managing money for people essentially since 2018. Now the firm will complete 8 years this year, and so I've been an entrepreneur essentially since that time itself. And in terms of educational qualifications, post MPP, I did my CFP, which is Certified Financial Planner, and my CFA, which is Chartered Financial Analyst. So mainly so that I would have the right qualifications and skill set to do my job well, and so yeah, so that's about me. And so essentially, what I do is manage money for people based on their risk objectives, based on their financial objectives, and anything else that may have their financial requirements. So that is what my specialization is, and yeah, that's it about me.
Cool. My name is Shadman, and same thing we did. We were in Xavier's together till 2015, and then I always wanted to be, part of the food industry. But back then, the landscape was not that big. So I tried my hands at different things, learning specific skill sets in the restaurant space. So I was selling SaaS products to restaurateurs for a company called Line Tray, and I worked there for quite a bit. And then, it included all your systems from your CRM systems to inventory management systems to, software updates and like different other things. And it was one of the first companies to do software as a service, like on the SaaS model, because restaurateurs were used to paying like just one particular fee for a software and then just uh, pay that and like just be let it be for like forever because they would not want to pay. So it was a new thing. Then after that, I moved to Zomato doing ad sales, understanding like restaurants how they market. That time they were transitioning into the click based model, how we have your SEM for in Google. So you could buy clicks and it'll be X amount of visibility for there's the price per click depending on zones. So how to target those people coming into your restaurant. And then I worked in a cloud kitchen for a year to start off my own project, something in the cloud kitchen space or the restaurant space. But unfortunately, the pandemic hit in 2020. And then I I didn't want to go back to corporate because I was like kind of stuck. So I just decided to pursue culinary management from George Brown College in Toronto. And I was there for like 3 years, worked at like different setups, from fast food to fine dine to like with catering companies. And it was a great experience in terms of like meeting people, interacting. After that, I just came back now, like a couple of months ago, back to India, and I'm in the process of, doing tests with different food items, and hopefully, like scale it to a QSR or a cloud kitchen model with like multiple outlets. So that's where I'm at, and hopefully this year I'm able to do that. So that's the whole professional journey from like college to
Okay. So let's just like go back a little. How did you guys exactly become friends or like just become that one whole unit together? I mean, considering your vibe, I don't think you guys are like the first benchers. But how did you guys?
Excuse me.
3.4 GPA.
3.7
3.7
in some subjects.
in some.
But yeah,
I topped Aggie's class.
Oh, wow.
that is-
Now everybody's like, Sparsh sir, please.
I would have topped some classes, but I don't know which ones. But anyways, like mean assumption. I think the trajectory was. I'll speak for myself again. I remember my first day in college. Very shy, very scared.
How are you shy?
I don't know. He's already laughing. I know what he's gonna say because he's told me the story
I
a
know.
lot of times.
I also.
Yeah,
Everyone
everybody
remembers
knows
that.
this story.
Everyone remembers that.
Like I still remember I was wearing this white polo. So not
Pink,
polo,
pink.
polo,
Tucked
and
in.
tucked in cargo pants,
Tight
clean
cargo
shaven,
pants.
specs on. I don't know. I thought I was supposed to be a particular way, perhaps. I mean, very naive at that stage. And we sat in Sony ma'am's introduction class, and I still remember I was sitting next to Chelsea, I think, and it was a packed class. Most people I've seen in like Xavier's in one class ever must be around 70 people. It was
Yeah.
60,
60,
70 people.
60 people.
And Sony ma'am asked us like, just introduce yourselves and you use an adjective which describes your name, some sort of an activity like that. I said anonymous Ananya because I like to, at least back then, I like to be in the shadows and just be alone and aloof. And yeah, slowly going from there, like, I don't know who did I meet first. I think we all met in the foyer canteen.
Canteen. Yeah.
Um, and we were discussing something about our failed love lives or something like that, and which became a main
I met him
theme,
a little later after that.
which kind of became the main theme of at least our circle. We call them crying sessions, CS, which became a thing. Yeah, we are talking about this, huh? So why not? Come on, you can't be.
We
bad
had a lot
for
of
that.
emotional bonding. you can say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the genesis of everything, and then
Basically, free therapy.
free therapy.
Free therapy.
Yeah.
Way ahead of its time.
We had therapy when therapy was not a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been
May
a
or
thing,
may
but
not be
like,
called, like dark rooms with like some glasses off.
but I think this was the best kind of therapy because it was with friends,
Yeah,
people
that
you
is true.
love and enjoy the company with. And it never felt heavy. It was always light. It was always jokes and pulling each other's leg, playing tons and tons of cricket. It had that I lived in Kolaba, which is not too far away. Like after college got over, all of us would just herd back to my place, chill out there.
And next day.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have done that. We have done that.
Next day.
and
Hey,
basically,
lecture, let's.
yeah. And during the daytime, we would play tons of cricket. And night, he had a car, so he would just drive us around town, especially going from Kolaba to Bandra.
Bandra,
And trying out all the food places.
Yeah.
Blasting loud music.
Blasting
Oh,
loud.
yeah, we were those kind of
Very,
people.
um,
You know how the Thar people are now? We were sort of those people at that time.
yeah, I think I
I
come
think
from
this they
Delhi.
can edit.
So no, why not?
Okay.
So I mean, I come from that Delhi background. So these guys are not aware of the word Gedi. I don't know if you guys are. So it was kind of that
Are you
Gedi
aware of the
culture.
word?
Katie,
It's a Punjabi slang of sorts, which
Like
means
it's outdated kind of sort.
it's not at all outdated
Oh, I didn't.
They still call it Gedi,
Of
or it
course,
might be
of
something
course.
else.
And like Gedi is
Gedi is Gedi.
that's not that.
So that was like Gedi basically means doing mindless activity just for fun, especially in a car.
Not only just did that, but we would also do like a lot of activities. Just taking up from there, like how I met these guys. That was the question, right? About meeting on the first day. So I think one of the common things, other things that we also connected on another set of group of guys was football, and then there were also we found out there are different girls also who are following like football and supporting different clubs. So that was one of the we would have a lot of like Champions League matches and stuff at friends' place. Dhruv was
Yeah.
I think staying in Kolaba, yeah. So we would go to his house to
The guy
you
who
know,
just
like-
called me Shreyansh Mota again. That was the
Correct.
football circle.
Yeah,
It
there
was
was a
also
football
cricket.
station.
Cricket
It was
also.
also so it was connecting on a lot of things. So we would go to play. We used to book Azad Maidan also for like cricket matches and do like we've done that.
We have
right?
done that.
Football.
Yeah, we have
Cricket
actually
we
both
also
have
we've
done
done.
it.
Cricket
we've
also
done.
we've done, and football also would be football. You can just go and play. So we would like do that. But yeah, so like different groups forming because of like different activities. But there was
We had
always
shared
a-
interests, and each group had their own sort
Yeah.
of interest, and then each of us would like mingle into those groups based on that interest.
Oh.
So I'm sure there was a drinking group as well. We did not do much of that at that time.
Yeah.
But then different groups with different interests, and then wherever you
Yeah.
found your space, you just went there. So that's how we got to know each other, of course. So we all had a lot of emotional bonding as well. But cricket, football, even class projects, in fact. So we got some very tough projects. And I remember
Yeah.
once 30 people out of 60 went to Starbucks. And 4 or 5
Yeah,
different
the
groups
one
went
in
and worked on
Orange
one
Circle.
project together.
Helping
So,
each other because the
Yeah.
submission is tomorrow and it's like so difficult, and we were playing and like doing
Yeah,
all
That
of that.
Starbucks at Horniman was kind of very important.
at that
Yeah.
time, it was iconic.
Yeah, it
Because
was
we
a
didn't have that many cafes
It was the first in India, and there used to
Yeah.
be like queue
Yeah.
of 2 hours just to get in.
initially. Yeah.
Like how you have at your Benny's and your
Yeah.
different places today, right? Like the coffee shop, drink in Bandra and stuff like. So the same thing, like this, such a big line that was there, and then even like one of the biggest commonalities was also our love individually, which happened naturally at that point, like our love for food that we had. So a lot of times, like we would also meet up and just go and try different places
Yeah.
to eat. I think there was a point where in Bandra and in town, I think probably like we would have covered like 70-80% of the restaurants. Because when you're meeting also, it's like, let's try this place, let's try, sushi, let's go here, let's go there. So food has also been like a big part to like local spots also. We used to have that biryani from
Apollo.
right behind
Near
Baghdadi.
Bade Mia's.
Baghdadi,
Baghdadi,
yeah,
same
that
thing.
one. Behind over there, McDonald's was a very Kulaba McDonald's specifically. Modern Juice Center, big mention. And what is the
Shan
starters
Chinese.
group?
Shan
Shan Chinese, which was at CST.
Baghdadi
So, yeah.
custard.
Baghdadi custard, yeah, so many things. Leo's was also there for that bakery
Yeah.
stuff.
Shut down. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, a lot of things, commonalities like you can see with like all of us different interests. So it's just like groups were formed and whoever wants to do whatever would just like sort of join in. Movies was also a big thing.
Yeah, movies.
Going for movies, we had gone for I think 30 people together went for Student of the Year 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
It was I remember releasing it on Diwali last day of
Last day of
college or
exams.
something. Exams.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that one, but I've heard stories.
Oh yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
I was
I
But,
want
yeah.
to mention that here.
But yeah, so a lot of different interests, and from the first day, just you will like relate with people for whatever you like, and mostly people were vocal. I think social media also has a big role to play. In
I think
this,
we were
not being there.
No, it was there. It was very much there.
So it was nascent, right? Now
Yeah,
when you text someone on WhatsApp, you'll get a reply maybe in an hour or two, maybe never.
yeah.
That's how it
Yeah.
works. That time we would, so for all of us in the group, 9 to 10 or 9 to 11, whenever you hit the bed, we would send WhatsApp to like 10 people and just chat.
Yeah.
That's how that time was.
Memes. We used to have like,
And share memes and those sort of had
like
meme
we
boards,
were the
those sort of things.
generation when memes were comic book strips with random words on it. Like I don't know if you would even have seen
Yeah.
those ones, but then we kind of
They
transitioned.
might have.
now.
I mean, some
Yeah.
comic books are still there, right?
Yeah,
Or are
yeah,
they?
but
No, 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 no.
it's
Those
anime
ones
more.
are-
Oh,
More
okay.
of anime. Like,
But yeah, it was. Yeah, I think social media not being what it is today is a big part
Big,
of
big
Big
our-
part actually, because we did have it. It's not like WhatsApp was there, like you said. BBM was
Everything
there before that.
There was WhatsApp, Instagram. You don't make us sound like we're some I don't know, woolly mammoths or something. Because everything was there.
No, everything was there. Instagram,
Yeah.
everything was there.
It was
But
just
like
like-
it was
like
the
you
first
said,
or
it was fun
second
to
year,
use.
no?
It was fun. It was
Yeah.
actually social.
Yeah.
Like you don't use it to like hide in your own shell. You actually use to connect.
Yeah,
with
to
people.
connect with people. So
Like
we would actually
Instagram
text people like,
Was
take
the
initiative and do
platform
that.
at that time, which was actually for photographers who want to share pictures and find your own community over there.
Yeah,
That's
that's how
it
it started.
And then, like he said, you connected with people. Actually, these are social media is some other
Yeah.
beast
You
altogether.
wouldn't call and video call on Instagram that time.
Yeah.
So like that.
Video
It was
calling was only Skype. at
Skype.
that time, in
Mm,
fact.
correct.
So you
But
didn't
like
have
the
laptop.
initial, like how they must have, I think you guys must have experienced the online ordering bit, right? Like early, like how
We didn't have online ordering.
Yeah, we didn't have online ordering.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. Sounds like,
So
decades
every
ago
time you have
now.
to eat
But-
something, you have to make a plan.
Yeah,
Right? So you
actually.
can't just like order home and just have it.
Actually, it is not like yeah, Zepto pe Rajma Chawal 99. Let's just call. We have 20 minutes to eat. It would never be. We would be like, why eat? We can wait and have a good meal later, rather than just
There was Zomato, Swiggy.
It was
Zomato
not
was
a delivery.
platform. It was not an ordering delivery
Yeah.
platform at all. So you used to go to Zomato to check menus and see reviews of other people who've been there, which was a good time. So we had a friend who was a professional Zomato reviewer. uh,
Yeah. Ahead
Yeah.
of his time.
ahead of its time.
ahead of
actually.
its time actually.
Um,
Because
I guess that was the good old days back then, and we still try to find our ways. That's why we keep coming to Xavier's, keep in touch with the faculty just to see, you guys enjoying your college time, hopefully, which is true. But yeah, I guess it was definitely true. For
But
us.
have you heard of Tiny Owl? The company Tiny Owl? Have you heard of it? No. So before Zomato and this came in, we actually worked for an intern at a company at Tiny Owl.
Yeah.
You were also there, right?
But you,
But you was also there. Yeah, he was mentioned.
These guys were 9 or 10 at that time.
Coming to Tiny Owl as well. So Tiny Owl was the first delivery platform. So it was the first one before Zomato.
Before
Zomato was the
Zomato.
partner at Swiggy, before Swiggy. And then they did a lot of orders. They but our internship was reaching out to restaurants, taking their menus so that their backend team could go back and feed the whole menu on their system and get all the restaurants digitized.
yeah,
And online ordering was still very new at that point and all of that. And Tiny Owl shut down, then Swiggy came into the picture because it was more funded and a bigger. And Zomato jumped onto that wagon. But that definitely did help, like he said, not having that access to always order, always do this. Because also like a dopamine rush, you're just ordering, it's there in 10 minutes.
yeah.
And then it doesn't feel the same after a point and you're just ordering for no reason. But here it's more engaging on meals, even eating chaat and stuff.
Shiva, shut up.
Shout out to Shiva in the canteen. And yeah, that would be I think one of the biggest reasons that we were the way we were back then, and how interaction sort of worked in college.
Yeah, but one thing I'll say, the chat wala depends upon his mood.
It
We
was
are
Now
like-
the quality's gone
The-
down.
now
Now it's
the-
not the same
It
anymore.
wasn't the case
Let's
back
not
then.
trash small businesses, but I'm saying he's trying. I understand what you're saying, but it used to be definitely better.
Or maybe our standards have also gone up. In
No, definitely,
no,
but his
no,
khajur
that
chutney was
was
thicker.
actually
Now
wrong.
it's not thicker.
I mean,
that
of
is
course,
something.
it was insane.
Yeah.
Bro, his khajur
They
chutney was thicker. You remember,
Yes,
right?
yes, that I noticed.
We-
Okay, shout out Shiva again. He makes the best khajur chutney. And back then he said that he will be going on a cruise ship as a permanent job. Bhai mat jao, please.
and you took
It's-
the words too seriously.
Yeah, it's still good to see him here, but I hope he makes a khajur chutney again because definitely he's not making that anymore. But yeah, coming that college canteen was a big part of
Oh,
our
yeah.
entire college
God.
journey.
So there have been days where we are sat from 12:30 till 8 o'clock in the evening just sitting and talking in the
Yeah.
canteen. Multiple days, so not just one. So
We had our
Yeah.
own spot next to the dustbins
yeah.
because we were trash. Apparently, not apparently, we were kind of
BMS was looked down upon at the time.
Exactly.
Right away.
Yeah.
We were like the sidey course in the hostel building
Yeah,
and we were just there.
Xavier's will forever have a very special place in all of our hearts. And
100%.
Yeah, so my best memories are in Xavier's, right? I have no qualms in saying that. At least the best phase so far of life. a lot of it was just to do with that. Also, the fact that as a student, you don't have that much responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, I'm married now, but there's also a lot of responsibility that comes with it. So, you have your great moments, but at the same time, when you're a student, you have those without any care in the world. I think that's what sets your college life apart from, let's say, life post college.
Yeah.
So, there's a constant pressure post college to achieve something or the other, whether it be at a personal level, whether it be at a financial level, or any different sort of aspect of your life.
And I mean, I might just flip a question to you because he said something that's very, very true. That I mean, at that stage of our lives, we did not have the pressure to achieve, which I have a feeling that now it's translated into you guys having that pressure to achieve in your space, even in college, for example. But is that a true statement? Like, do you feel some pressure to that you need to be somewhere, you need to do some things by this age or whatever? Whatever is your opinion on that?
So for us, yeah, definitely the teachers do tell us make memories and everything. But somewhere again, third year placements. So it's somewhere there is pressure, I would say. Although maze karo, everything is a part of it. Yeah, there is a little bit of pressure. Ki bhai, padai. See, over here it's like that people who are like toppers in every single college, like all around India, especially they come here. So it's like already hai. Marks is not something which is going to set you apart.
Yeah.
So there is certain level of competition, but at the same time, yeah, there is a lot of fun. Like committees, you kind of meet a lot of people,
Yeah.
and it's like a lot of fun. You can meet
No, I
like a
mean,
lot of people.
I guess the academic pressure is fine because at the end of the day, you're at an elite institution, at least in this country. It's one of the top places. And you mentioned that, you know, all achievers, at least in the schooling phase, come, they kind of circumvent and like gravitate towards institutions like Xavier's, which is great. I guess that much pressure is okay, but maybe what I'm getting at is also, I mean, the pressure even there should not be toxic that, you know, you tend to stretch your limits to the boundary and almost break down because I unfortunately know people who did that and it was not worth it. So nothing's worth more than your own sanity and mental peace, just to putting out there. But like having said that, you mentioned placements and you know, third year black book projects and all that stuff. It sounds big and daunting now, but I guess all of us can attest to that. It's not a big of a deal.
There is
It's
an
not much of a
extremely
big of a deal.
crazy story which I don't think so we can discuss on the day of the black book submission, where
I don't remember this.
somebody had made a project and somebody just like
Copied it. Yeah.
Yeah. Degree is a path to potential end. I would also argue you should not define your end on your own. Your life takes you on a journey which is sometimes better than what you perceive and plan. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I would just say that you need to kind of just be fine with not knowing the answer sometime and not having expectations that might seem unreasonable. It's great if you get a McKinsey. It's great if you get, you know, the best startup. Like I sat for placements, not in BMS. Interestingly, I sat in MPP, and I was one of the first people from the masters to ever get placed. Second, if I remember that correctly. Before that, masters were not even part of placement cell. Uh, so yeah, it's fine. I mean, all of this sounds and seems daunting, but it's fine because I had to switch my paths after choosing one, and I'm in my 30s now, early 30s. But I'm still happy to change paths if it's required. Um, Although I do this amazing job, I get to travel. I'm being paid very well. I live in one of the best cities on the planet. Everything's great, but given an opportunity, sometimes with even friends, if, for example, we do something together, I'd be more than happy to change paths again. So the bottom line is that we need to be open enough to accommodate that change that might happen in the future. So just chill out a little bit and just enjoy where you are at.
Yeah. So now can you tell us about your placement scenario? Like how did you guys tackle it and what would be like your generic advice to the kids in TY or FY as to how to go about it or to pursue further studies?
So you want to start?
I think when
Yeah, I think I was the first guy placed in my batch. So that's there. But also I know of people who did not get placed, but later they applied to the same companies and got the job. So the idea, I would say placements aren't like the beginning and end of it. So placement cell is almost like spoon feeding you all. to get placements. But every time in life you go outside and whenever you want to change your job, the process is standard. You have to network with people, you have to apply for open position and keep trying. So I would say that even if you don't get placed through college, for example, that doesn't matter at all. You have to still keep applying. It might be a bit more effort. Over here you're spoon fed, but otherwise, yeah, network with people, apply for the relevant jobs and keep at it. So it's a numbers game eventually.
But still, what was your process like?
I got through placement cell. So, I mean, I just submitted my CV. So, whichever companies came, had to keep submitting your CVs and they would call you for interviews. So, the first company that called me for the interview, I got the job. So, I did not have that much experience that way. But yeah, so because of the people in class, who were also trying for these roles, many got it post college into the same companies and the same jobs. So, I think that's what you should just keep trying. I think it's just a pure numbers game eventually, and that's how you should go about it.
Yeah. I did not sit in BMS placement, but I agree exactly to what he said that it's not the end all if you do not in this round. So consider this as a round of employment. If you don't go through this one, you can go off campus and still do it. Probably better if you network as well. We just had some really nice conversations off camera about the importance of networking. I'll probably come to that, but I'll just quickly talk about my placements and experience as well. So I did not sit for the BMS one, but I was one of the first ones to get placed in MPP, which was the first year like masters were allowed to be part of placement cell. There was this another girl who got placed just before me, and I got placed just after her with a Thailand-based company, which I have kind of already spoke about, so I wouldn't speak about that more. But yeah, I mean the process was pretty much standard as is that submit your CV, they'll shortlist you, they'll invite you for interview rounds. For me, in my case, I had 3 interview rounds, and all of them were on campus. So you go for one, they call for the second. The first one was just a generic introduction round. Second one was more of a group discussion round. So it was like a round table thing, and they give you a topic. You not really debate, but make your point. So what they're looking is not the quality of your arguments, but the way you say it. So I think it's more of a personality thing as well to see how you fit with the culture. And the final round was just the HR round to talk about expectations and whatnot. So that's how it went for me. I was very happy, of course, getting the first job is a very special feeling. It was very good. But then I'll just take this another opportunity to talk about my second job experience, which was in Australia. And I did mention to people sitting here that it's a different world altogether. And to his point, that networking plays the primary role over there. So there's no concept of placements anywhere else in the world that I know of. So it's pretty much spoon feeding, like he said, which is a privilege. Like you're in one of the best colleges, so you should definitely take advantage of it. But having said that, if you ever go abroad, that's not the case whatsoever. You have to network, make connections, find your cultural fit, and then possibly get the offer. And that's what happened in my case. It's also a numbers game. You need to apply as much as you can to the right places, to the right kind of roles that you want to do. And hopefully, you'll get through that. So there's no reason why you can't do that here. If in case, God forbid, you do not get the job you want, it's not the end of the world. There's multiple routes of getting the same thing or even better. And in my case, I would say networking is pretty much everything. Even if you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to stay in the classic 9 to 5 job, or even if you want to just do for the fun of it, like networking is something that's social, right? You're developing your own personality as well. You asked me that question, like I don't look underconfident like I was, like I told myself I was back in the days, probably because I started speaking a lot more to people. I kind of understood my own fallacies and where I do good in life, and that just gives you more confidence. It's just a very good skill set for you to even inculcate. So it's something that's like zero negatives and all positives. Probably the only negative of networking would be like you'll have to sometimes go through a lot of rejections. But again, in the long run, it just develops a bigger, thick skin for you, which is definitely helpful in the long run. So definitely go through placement cells, do whatever you want, polish your CV, get a great AI software to get that done, because now we have tech. We did not have tech back then. you get rejected for the smallest thing. Even if you don't put a full stop after the sentence, that's enough for some companies to throw your CV in the trash. Very, very real. You can avoid all of that mistakes using technology. Dress appropriately to all interviews. For McKinsey, definitely wear your best formals. To a startup, understand their culture. If they're more appreciative of, personality and bring your own best self, just dress the way you want. But if the startup is, again, it's in the financial sector, for example, where you kind of supposed to be dressed properly, do that. So what I want to say is, like, don't dress for the same interview that you did for the last one. Understand the culture, understand the company, prepare your CV accordingly. Don't use a stock CV. Tailor your CV to each job description you see. Actually read the job description and find the pointers and values where you can deliver on those exact necessities. That's what recruiters want to see. They want to know if you can speak their language, which is because when they shortlist people, they basically go through a list of things that they want in a candidate. And if you tick mark, say 70% of it, you are very likely to get at least to the next round. So just keep a track of these hygiene things, and I think you should do well in your placements. But again, keep networking regardless. That's very, very important.
What was the question? I got, bro, he answered, then you answered.
No, it's just like about placements.
Any
About
advice
the
on placements?
placements, I think I did sit for a couple of placements back then, but I would like to actually take the thing a little behind from what we are talking right now in terms of the thought that a lot of people undermine the fact that in college there are a lot of skills that you develop that's taken for granted, like your people skills, for example. It's a huge thing. College, except for the education, obviously whatever course you do and whatever you learn, that's there. But then it also helps you to sort of understand that there are different opinions that people might have, and you got to sort of find a way to like make it work, and everybody can voice their own opinion, how to place your points, how to talk to somebody. Like these are very small things, but I think in the corporate career, if you want to sort of go, and Ananya can probably like add on to this, or even attest for that matter, that your people skills will be make or break
100%.
for I think that is something that I learned.
Just very quickly, not just for corporate, for any walk of life, your people skills are supreme.
Correct.
It's not like in his startup he does not require.
Correct.
It's only people skills, I would say.
It's only
Probably only people skills, unless and until you're doing a very technical job, say coding, or I don't know, financial analysis, which is all quant based, or in his
or an
case,
engineer,
like,
for that
or an
matter.
engineer for that matter, or like some if a chef, if he's good or bad
Yeah.
in the kitchen, his skills are supreme. But even then, I think the camaraderie between other chefs,
100%. It's
all people
communication and the
skills.
people skills, because like one of the things when I transitioned my career from like the corporate to becoming a chef, so the skills that I learned over there were very different. But then I realized that these skills would actually apply a lot in corporate, and it makes sense like why certain people behave or talk or do things the same way. But the thought is like these things people take it for granted is what I meant, like students, or because we don't obviously look at it like that. But I can talk about the same thing in retrospect, not like when I was there I realized all of this. But these things are also extremely important for the placements. I think there were certain companies, that I don't want to take names or whatever, but then like people sat for the placements and they cleared through round 1 and 2 your group discussion, and then your first round of interview and stuff. But then when the list came out and like people who got the job, some of them already knew people who were working in that same company. So the point I'm trying to make is not fair, unfair, whatever, like that's to be debated. But like the actual sense of it is that they knew people already in the system who could like sort of recommend them. They knew them personally. They know
Just
what kind of
really-
personalities coming in.
That's not unfair. That's actually networking.
Yeah, that's actually, I was going to come to that.
Your network
Yeah, it
is
is the
your network.
networking.
Right.
Yeah,
Essentially,
so
it's
it does, these skills also help you to sort of build the people relations and how to deal with people and stuff like that. So I think for the placements, yeah, I think that would be my biggest, like sort of tip for anybody who's going, and like what will definitely work is how you talk, how you present yourself, the things that are controllable in your hand, your communication, being like sensitive about things, knowing what to say, what not to say, and like developing that whole skill set and not getting nervous, being like confident and being yourself. Because a lot of companies, the whole interview process, like he had also mentioned, a major part of it is the culture fit. Like, what kind of person are we getting in? Is this the kind of person that we can see every day, work with every day, right? Like, is that something that will bring a new dynamic to the team? So these are very big and relevant factors, which is why the networking thing becomes extremely important, and how you sort of have a whole personality, how you develop it over the period of 3 years that you've got. So I would say extracurricular activities that people do quite a bit, having a sense of how things work in the real world, and developing your personality in different facets would definitely help. Because I got my job outside of the placement. I just sat for two companies because those were the only two ones that came related to the food or restaurant or anything remotely. I didn't want to do. There was an FMCG brand as well, but I didn't want to do the packaged goods and whatnot. But in this line of work, yeah. So I just sat for two, and then things I realized. But I got a job immediately after that in a software company.
I'll just add to his point. So in my business, right, I have never lost a client who, let's say, I've had a good relationship with, but poor performance. So of course, because of the markets, you do have clients who may not have the best of performance at times. But I've never lost a client like that. But I have lost few clients who I just failed to stay in touch with, irrespective of how their portfolio performed. Right. In fact, I remember one particular one who had probably one of the best performance portfolio wise in amongst all my clients, but he went away eventually because I just failed to keep in touch.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll expand more on that because I also work in finance, right? So, although not my core job, but like in the industry, it's finance. So, someone here before asked me like, how do these Aston Martin things, these activations happen? It's basically an opportunity for our sales and client managers to develop that relationship with the most important people. So, literally spending millions and millions of dollars for give that opportunity to connect and and make that relationship with people. So I think the broader point that all of us could probably say yes to is that people skills are supreme. Networking helps you develop those people skills, and the fact that merit is always going to be paramount in no matter what. You need to be a good chef, you need to be a good financial analyst, in my case you need to be a good marketing person. The first stage of an interview, for example, could be the HR ticking the box that this person is qualified, he or she has the merit to do the job. That's your first round. That's not what they're looking. If they give you a call, that's good validation already that you're competitive enough to be there. That second thing is like when you get in that conversation in that first round, they're still judging your confidence and ability for you to kind of be meritorious in that role. And the second round onwards is all just about your personality, your people skills, how you. And I think Shadman mentioned something very correct that most of the times you spend in office, you're spending with your co-workers. In fact, if you look at statistically, once you are in a 9 to 5 at least, you see your co-workers more than your own family or friends for that matter. So the person sitting next to your desk should like you and vice versa. That's what cultural fit in a nutshell means. So having a grasp of all of these things combined, merit, cultural fit, and maybe the broader people skills is very, very important, and it will kind of give you an edge whenever you want to work, wherever you want to work. Uh, I guess that would summarize
Yeah.
all of our
Yeah.
discussion.
100%. 100%.
Okay, now I have a question for you. Is that considering your culinary background, and you mentioned you have also been experimenting with foods as well. So, isn't like taste subjective? So, if, for example, a restaurant decides on a particular menu as such, how do they curate the menu in a manner that it is acceptable to a lot of people, or a lot of people enjoy that menu?
Okay.
Good question.
Good question, actually. Yeah, very good question. Actually, there are two parts, two ways I see this. One is obviously your food would matter, like how good, and like you said, taste is subjective, right? But then that's what the QSR or the big chain sort of make you understand. A McDonald's what a burger is. It has a patty, a sauce, those components that make a burger. right? And you can get different variations. So taste is something that you would be able to like debate upon a little bit, but then anybody who makes food, it's usually from the point of that this is what I eat and I would want to share. I think that's the basic thought process behind like serving any sort of food. But then the brands, when they look at designing, the menus, it's usually based on a lot of factors, like how what will be the wastage. If it's a, let's say, a QSR or a chain or whatever, they would have more focus on less wastage to design a menu where they can use combination of ingredients in different items. And like Chipotle is a global brand, and if anybody's traveled or at least seen online, like they do your Mexican bowls, so you can make the same ingredients used and make tacos bowls and like tortilla wraps and all of that. So that would be one way of doing it. The other way, combination, for the restaurants that are like traditional, or they focus more on the guest experience. But the second part of the thought was the guest experience, because it's essentially, a restaurant business is, in my opinion, it's a people's business where food is the medium through which you're trying to connect with your kind of people, that would your customers and whoever likes the product. But it's at the end of the day a people's business, because anybody who visits a restaurant, right, they might be okay, is what I have observed on the experience. They would be not like, if the experience is bad, they would not prefer to come back to the restaurant. But if the meal is bad, right, but if it's handled really well, oh, I'm so sorry, I can get you, like an egg substitute for this, or repeat the dish, or this, that, the way it's handled and the way you treat the people is the deal breaker in this case. And that experience can be seen like with tech now. It's like sort of slightly changing, but then that keeps the great restaurants away from the good ones, or the ones that are trying to come up. Menu designing also would include, I think, a lot of it will also got to do with the theme of the brand. So what kind of food do you want to serve? Is it a specific concept like Belgian waffles? So it's just waffles with like different toppings that they would give, and they would ideally design that. But then in terms of competition and how you're doing, so that parameter can sort of change, and they might add a pancake or iced teas and stuff like that to compete or to stay relevant, right? In the traditional restaurant setup, since it's for experience, you would want familiarity with the menu, and then like certain new dishes that you would be doing. So it's a lot of factors that would be considered to sort of make the restaurant menu. But at the same time, it's like extremely important that, like I pointed out about the guest experience, and McDonald's also wants you to, like, their guest experience is summed up in, I want to give this person the food within 5 minutes, and they can eat and they can leave in 20 minutes. So as long as they keep on doing that, nobody would mind trying out a McDonald's versus the burger. If you see the burger, it's like, I mean, I like it, I eat it as well, but it's a very standard burger. It's a very, it's not like, wow, the best McChicken and the best mayo, the lettuce. It's, like almost about to die, but still amazing, like that kind of thing, right? So the experience over there would be that. In the fine dine, it would be, like how you deal with people and stuff like that. So it'll differ, but that's the core of the business. So the menu can keep on changing. The things can keep on, be alterated, and like things can be added, subtracted. Sometimes now the trends also, like the Korean trend is big. So everybody's trying to include like a Korean sort of spicy item from the chains to, like, even sometimes you'll find a local dosa wala guy also doing a very Chinese and like different types of this, like Szechuan dosa, and now there's a Korean dosa also at some places where you can just go and like make it extremely spicy. So yeah, that's what it entails. That is.
Yeah. Now I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Is that you have started your own venture, right?
Yeah.
And you basically are kind of an expert in wealth management at this point. So budgeting or something like that is not an issue for you. But when you started your company, is there something which you knew, but okay, ये थोड़ा ध्यान रखते तो ये गलती नहीं होती? Was there something like that which you knew, but like some checkbox or something which you had but you forgot, or something like that? Like one kind of a difficulty or some hassle you faced when you were starting out?
So see, initially when I started off, or whenever anyone starts a business, many times you're not very clear who your target audience is. You go in different directions, you sort of experiment with XYZ and see what works out, what you sync with, what your potential clients sync with. So when you start off, there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of, failure as well, because you're not sure exactly what you're doing and what will appeal to, let's say, the people you deal with. Over time, as you deal with people, as you experiment more and more, you sort of narrow down into what you're exactly good at and what even syncs with a lot of people. So, for example, in my company, I specialize in the area of retirement. And that was not something that I did when I started off. Right? Earlier, when I started, it was like, oh, can I get higher returns? But the whole market is doing that. No one was even talking about retirement. Later on, because see, now as we come back to the thing where your network is your net worth, now my dad happens to be currently 60, but we started off, he was 54, 55. Him and a lot of his colleagues were sort of now planning to retire, or whoever his whole this thing was, network was in that stage where they were in their 50s. Eventually, they had to retire. And it so happened that one of our clients asked us to make a retirement plan, and we were pretty good at it. So we just decided to make this our core proposition and not necessarily appeal to everyone. So when I talk about retirement, many people will be like, yeah, this is not for me. But there is a segment of people who will be like, oh yeah, these guys specialize in retirement. So whatever success I've had, first 3 years I struggled. Since then, it's doing quite well, mainly because I specialized and I have a very clear message that this is who I am, this is what I do. So if this is something that works for you, then yeah, I'll be, great to work with. But otherwise, yeah, we might not vibe to that extent. So had I known this at the start, obviously I wouldn't have lost 3 years. I think that's something that, that if I could go back in time, yeah, if I had a very clear proposition, I'd be 3 years ahead. You could say that. But obviously, this takes time to learn, and I don't think anyone can just start their business from the get-go knowing exactly what you're doing. So I would say, yeah, don't be afraid to experiment, try different things, keep innovating, then eventually sometime you will narrow down and give time for your strategies to actually sort of materialize. Because a lot of people go into a venture thinking ki first year mein chala to great, otherwise I'm back to whatever. That's not how it works. So some of the most successful communities in our in India, especially our Marwadis and Gujaratis, talk to anyone there who's, let's say, a third generation or even second generation guy, he'll always say, give your business 1,000 days. So they say it in Marwadi.
That's
or
a
whatever.
very famous saying.
1,000 days is what you have to give your business. So if you're going to quit before that, so I got my success also ironically after that 1,000 day mark. That is something I think that people need to, be ready for. That yeah, this is something that I'm getting into for a while. I need to give it my best shot and only then think of whatever else. So I would say, yeah, specialization is something that if I knew at the start exactly what I could do, if you could somehow quicken that process, I think that would help quite a bit eventually then.
But then, was starting your own venture like somewhere like something which is always a part of your plans, or
Yeah,
did
it was. It was always a part of my plan.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you spoke about culture and everything, right? But this is taking it into a different sense.
Yeah.
Like you are into marketing as well. So I just want to focus on the marketing part for you. So for example, like there are certain cultures, even in India as well, when you design a particular marketing campaign or anything as such, you have to take into consideration the culture of the people. So if there is a brand who wants to enter India, for example, but India is quite diverse.
Yeah.
The culture is very
That's
different.
not the statement. India is probably the most culturally diverse place on the planet. Let's get to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there is a company which is like an international brand and they came here in India and they are trying to penetrate the market, but they are unable to, how would you go about it, like to make the client understand that, okay, there is a sense of culture, or what is the first thing you would do so as to get that brand enter the markets of India after a failed campaign?
Good question, but it's a little bit too diverse. But let me take it one by one. Companies coming to India, it's been happening a lot ever since we opened up in 90s. McDonald's came, Domino's came, all these big brands came. They all struggled for the initial bit. So for it, like I think similar to what he said, they would have allocated X number of days or years, which they will kind of experiment with, find the taste. Now I'm kind of merging both. So I'm taking food examples and also what he said. They would have possibly allocated X number of years that we'll experiment with this market, see what works culturally, what doesn't work at all. And there's so many case studies which you probably read online. But let me talk about McDonald's because we already spoke about that. When they entered India, India it's a meat consuming country, but it's not. It's also incredibly vegetarian friendly. It's probably the most vegetarian country in the world. Um, but even our meat eating habits are completely different from what it is in the West. When a Western brand comes, they have to understand that cultural nuance of this country. So in McDonald's India, you don't get pork, and number one, you don't get beef, which is their staple meal
Yeah.
in McDonald's elsewhere,
Yeah.
everywhere. So they had to culturally understand what the cultural nuances of this country were. Had they not, they would have never succeeded. Not to say they don't have problems right now, they have. That's more on a business level. But I think in terms of a taste perspective and connecting with cultural identities, I think McDonald's have done a really good job. They have a very diverse vegetarian portfolio menu. They have a very good chicken menu, and they don't have a lamb.
No,
They don't even have lamb.
They don't
In
even
fact,
have lamb.
abroad, there is no veg item on
Yeah.
the McDonald's menu.
Yeah,
Like aloo tikki is the genius creation of
Yeah.
India,
Yeah.
which you will not get anywhere
Anywhere
else.
else.
Maybe where in some countries where they have a very prominent Indian diaspora, they'll have that. I think there's some Mac veggie in Canada, for example. I think.
I think
there's
so.
a
Like
Mac
one or
plant,
two.
which is the
Mac
vegan,
plant.
matlab they try and make
Yeah,
it
the
like a beef
Impossible
patty, but
burger
it's a
patties,
vegetarian
but
substitute.
it's
So there's no like a
garbage.
aloo tikki or paneer or whatever. It's a Mac plant, what
Yeah.
they call it.
So
It's that
Mac
fake
plant
meat or
in
whatever.
Australia, for example, when I was there in 2022, it existed. So Mac plant was, for example, an experiment to balance the vegetarian population, not just Indian population in Australia, but vegetarianism, veganism is a global trend as well. They try to address that in Australia, which, fun fact, is per capita wise the largest meat consuming country on the planet. It failed miserably because in his case, what he said, he tried to find his niche and what he's good at. They and he did not try to balance it. His proposition was very clear at the time, and what Sparsh said. In McPlant's case, for example, the proposition was across the board. We'll give you a vegan plant-based patty, which will give you the mouth and the bite feel of a beef patty, but without the guilt of eating beef. In a country like Australia, it failed miserably. It did not work. You have when you target a company, when a company targets a market, these cultural nuances become paramount and kind of dictate will they succeed in the longer run or not. I think just staying on that food theme, one thought that came across when you mentioned dosas and Korean dosas. If you ever want to see what's culturally relevant, for example, in a country like India, go to the dosa wall and check out their menu. What's trending right now? Korean, Japanese, what dosa they
Pav
have?
bhaji dosa.
Pav bhaji dosa,
Yeah.
Chow mein dosa.
Szechuan dosa, Korean chicken dosa. I don't know what. That is a good indicator of what's culturally relevant in this market at this stage. Culture is it's a topic that I can go on for a lot because especially in India, I'd made that statement that it's the most culturally diverse, ethnically, culturally, linguistically diverse country on the planet. We don't have a lot of foreign diaspora in this country, but culturally speaking, our own communities are so diverse. It is a headache for any company to kind of find their proposition. So you might see what works in South India does not work in North India, what works in East does not work in West. So you have to go really local and find their cultural needs and find the problem statement and then address that as a company as a whole. I hope that answers to a degree.
Yeah, yeah. So that is